Hey everyone, this is Steve from GamersNexus.net, and today we're talking about strategy in Titanfall, specifically the Last Titan Standing game mode. Last Titan Standing is a 6v6 Titans only game mode where the only time you'll see a pilot is if they've ejected from their Titan, for the most part. It's basically a giant game of Rock'em Sock'em robots involving rockets and nukes. So it's a bit more interesting that given that everyone starts in a Titan and fights Titans almost exclusively in this game mode, strategy and loadouts stray a bit from what we find in domination and attrition, or team deathmatch. Before I get started, keep in mind the game is currently in beta. If you're watching this after the beta has been out and the full game is coming, all of this will have changed because there will be entirely new loadout options. So based on what we know so far, this video kind of shows a couple of key strategic elements of Last Titan Standing, and I've written a highly detailed 3,000 word strategy guide linked below that goes way more in depth, so hit that if you need it. Let's start with basic loadout information, beginning with primary weapons and then moving to team tactics and advanced tactics. Each weapon has different implementations. We've got a 40mm cannon, a chain gun, and a quad rocket launcher that can be equipped with rapid single fire rockets. At range, the 40mm cannon is the absolute undisputed best. I mean, don't even use the rocket launcher or the chain gun when fighting long range battles. A good example of this is when taking to Angel City's fields or Fracture's canyons, more so Angel City though. You'll want the 40mm cannon in both of these positions in order to properly hold against enemy advances. The cannon deals high damage at a slow rate of fire, but is incredibly accurate when compared against the other two options, and it has a slight arc, so you can volley it just a little bit over the low walls that you can hide behind in the field. Quad rockets won't even hit by the time it reaches your target at long range, so just don't bother, and try to change your Titan based on where you're going on the map. If you're covering the field or another long range location like down street towards the bridge, stick to the cannon. Quad rockets and the rapid fire attachment do incredibly well when in close combat, and they also tend to be more reliable and enable aggressive pushes from you against the other players. If you can go streets in Angel City or flank the canyon on Fracture, obviously before the enemy team can properly cover it, if you're that quick, you'll do well with quad rockets because of their high damage and their close range effectiveness. The chain gun tends to do really well in tight combat scenarios with multiple targets. It's most at home when your team is pushing really hard, like when you're doing a nuke rush, which I'll discuss in a minute, and you can drill down the enemy shields on their Titans, and you can use the chain gun to prevent their shields from recharging while your allies tear it into the hull with rockets or cannon rounds. So the chain gun is awesome for keeping shields from recharging, but it does deal significantly less damage than our other two options. You do get a better ability to aim for the head though in close, like mid-range scenarios with the chain gun, so that does do quite a bit more damage in that scenario. Next, we've got Ordinances. Both work well here. The targeted rocket barrage is much easier for the enemy to block with a shield, keep that in mind, but also works very well at long range and when the enemy is retreating. The rocket salvo works extremely well if you're pushing and getting into another Titan's face, like in melee combat, as it can unleash several rockets and do high damage before the enemy can even respond with a shield, especially when at such close range. Really, either choice works well. Just take targeted rockets for longer range and salvo for more aggressive builds. Then we have kits. First off, just drop auto eject altogether. Get rid of it. It has absolutely no purpose here. Last Titan Standing is about knowing when you should push the limits of your doomed Titan and when you should eject early. Auto eject only messes with that flow, so you're better off taking Survivor instead. It'll give far more staying power. Remember that every shot counts in this game mode, so an extra few seconds to assist your team could be enough to fire off one final ordnance barrage or round of ammo before ejecting, and that's really the key thing here, is to stick around as long as possible. Next, we've got a choice between regen and nuclear ejection. At first glance, regen appears best because of its ability, again, to further enhance staying power, but nuclear ejection combos extremely well with a nuke rush strategy we've discovered, and I'll talk about in a second. You should create at least one kit with nuclear ejection. Keep in mind that nukes are generally very easy to dodge unless you rush properly, so regen does tend to work better if you're playing at a longer range or are less aggressive. Finally, we have a choice between Electric Smoke and Vortex Shield for the tactical ability. The shield sees heavy use in Last Titan Standing for a few reasons, and it can do a few cool things in combat. First off, because pilots are scarce, Electric Smoke's primary use is actually going to be for concealed escape rather than for killing pilots. At most, only one team member should be using Electric Smoke. It does have its uses, but Shield will generally perform much better. It's not a bad idea for one team member to hang on to it, though. The best way to use Shield is to wait until your opponent has their own up. For instance, if you've just fired an entire volley of ordinances and primary rounds into the enemy and they've popped their shield, you can approach to gain ground on them, then throw your own shield online and absorb the return of your volley. So this is your own ammo coming back at you. Now you're grabbing it. So if you're following me, this means that you're now holding onto your own ammo in a Vortex shield that has been returned to you, and now you're going to release the shield to fire it straight back at them. Hopefully you've gained ground and advanced on them in this time, which if you're safe to advance is important because it makes it much harder to dodge when you return the return. So your enemy won't be able to shield against it because they've already exhausted their shield, and basically you always want to be the second person to trigger your shield when possible. Let's say this tactic is used against you though. Here's the scenario. The enemy just fired a barrage of warheads into your shield and then proceeds to put their own shield online. So you know what's going to happen. They're going to return your volley straight back at you if you fire it. So the best thing to do here is to look away and fire the round elsewhere like a wall. And if you've got a close team, having another allied Titan step in front of you with their own shield will keep the chain going. So you can, basically what happens is they fire their rounds into your shield, and then you release the shield, fire them back at them. They pop their shield, fire them back at you, and then a teammate steps in front of you, grabs it, and does the final return volley. So that's kind of cool. It has happened a few times, and it works best with a highly communicative team. Now on to nuke rushing. The importance of rodeoing up as a pilot shows up in this strategy, and again in a moment. The nuke rush is very powerful when deployed properly, and as with any type of rush, the idea is to catch them unawares while clustered in a vulnerable position. You need teammates who will follow closely, as we do in this footage, and clean up the remains of what you've left behind. The best way to pull this off is to rush the field on Angel City or Canyon on Fracture, more so Angel City than Fracture. And on Angel City, sprint and boost down the field as quickly as possible and try to cut into their sidelines. You want to take lots of damage, but you also need to position yourself in between multiple Titans to reduce their chance of escape. They should think that you're just an easy kill the first time this is done, so it should be possible to tag enemies with the blast. Getting your teammates to engage from afar will also help distract the enemies and will force engagement while your nuke goes off. Cloak immediately upon ejection and attempt to rodeo any remaining enemies. The nuke should kill adjacent Titans and will bring others as low as 1 bar of hull strength in our experience, so that's enough for you to finish them off while rodeoing or for your allies to kill them. And this brings us to the next topic. The role of pilots in Last Titan Standing is, your job is to rodeo. That's your job as a pilot. You have absolutely no business using stim in this game mode, so drop it in favor of cloak, which works better against Titans than pilots anyway. And you'll also want to drop frag grenades in favor of arc grenades, which distort the view of Titans and open them up to attacks from above, again, like rodeoing. It is also generally advisable to use the Archer Heavy Rocket instead of the Sidewinder. The Sidewinder is great at keeping their shields down because of its high rate of fire, but the Archer allows more fire and hide type gameplay, which is important here. A single shot from a Titan will take you out of the round as a pilot. So try to get a shot off, hide, and then hit them from another corner. If they spend time trying to track your movement, they're going to be slammed from your allied Titans anyway, so it works better for everyone if they're worrying about that. Use the time reloading to relocate. Also, keep in mind that electric smoke is very rare in this game mode because of its substandard use. The smoke is best used as a smoke grenade rather than a pilot killing device, since pilots are rarer, so everyone runs shields, right now anyway. This means it's pretty difficult for Titans to get rid of rodeoing pilots. Part of your job as a pilot is to call out where enemy Titans are when you're on foot, so try to position yourself above the streets on Angel City and on the big fracking object, we'll call it, on Fracture. And you can see almost everything on the map from the position I'm showing right now. These are like cell phone towers or something on Angel City. You can hit them at the peak of your ejection arc, so try to do that. Generally, they won't find you, except in this instance where I was shot in the face with a 40mm round. And, I mean, what kind of helmet doesn't protect you from a cannon shot anyway? That's just, I mean, obviously I had defective equipment. So, anyway, it's extremely dangerous to disembark in Last Titan Standing. That tends to be a poor method of dealing with rodeoing pilots. Your best bet, if rodeoed, would be to recruit fellow Titans to shoot the pilot, but that may be hard. A secondary option is to boost around the corner, disembark, and position yourself to take out the pilot, or intentionally put yourself in front of allied shots. Friendly fire does not exist, so it'll kill the pilot on you. Generally, it's best not to be rodeoed in the first place, though. Keep eyes on pilots and on your radar to avoid going through parts of the city that would allow them to easily jump on you. And remember, it's your job to kill Titans, not pilots, so you can ignore them and move elsewhere on the map. So the last thing I want to say is remember to use your burn cards. Hit the link below for more on that. And this gives you a pretty good overview of the article. If you've got your own tactics you employ, share them in the comments below so other players can benefit. Check out the full article linked in the description below. Other Titanfall content I've posted includes benchmark results on different video cards, crash fixes, and a custom PC build for Titanfall, so let us know what you think. Remember to like, comment, and please subscribe if you like the video, and let us know what you want to see next. I will see you all next time. Peace.